In this video, I will talk about the behaviors that result from using negative emotions as emotional defenses against the threat of or after the experience of painful stress. The use of emotional defenses can be observed, and each has a distinct observable behavior associated with each individual emotional defense. One can tell when someone uses an emotional defense as their way of coping with the experience of loss and stress, and the threat of loss and stress. The next few slides give the behaviors associated with each of the three emotions we have been talking about. If someone is using fear as an emotional defense, it would be observable as worrying. Worry in this context is to cause oneself to feel anxious, distressed, or uneasy about a concern. The problem with worrying is that it has no power to protect us from what we are afraid of. If someone is using anger as an emotional defense against stress, it would be observable as bitterness. Bitterness in this context is a behavior that is marked by resentment or cynicism, and is further observed as indignation or ill will felt as a result of a real or imagined grievance. It also is an attitude of scornful or jaded negativity, and is especially a general distrust of the integrity or professed motives of others. If someone is using sadness as an emotional defense, it would be observable as self-pity. Self-pity in this context is sympathy and sorrow aroused by the misfortune or suffering of oneself toward oneself. For an illustration of emotional defenses, I would like you to imagine that there is someone out there who would like to steal your car. This could be rather stressful due to a person's desire to protect what they own. I would like you to imagine someone is driving around, and they look like they want to steal your car. This could represent a threat, and your protective emotional response would include some level of anger or fear. If you are trying to defend against the pain or harm of this threat with only an emotional defense, it would look like or sound like worry or bitterness. Now, if you were to imagine someone had just stolen your car, there might be some shock, and then you may use the protective emotion of sadness as your emotional defense because of the loss, perceived harm, and pain. If you are trying to defend against that pain or harm after loss using sadness as your only way of defense, it would look like self-centered pity or sorrow. Fear and anger are both protective emotions. In the face of danger, fear motivates you to run away, and anger motivates you to fight. If you use anger and fear at the same time, it creates a state of anxiety. If someone uses anxiety as their only way of defense against stress or harm, it can be observed as panic or a phobia. Sadness and anger, as mentioned, are both protective emotions. Sadness is used for grieving a loss, harm, or pain, and anger is used to help protect from the danger of another loss or threat. When sadness and anger are used at the same time, it creates a stuck state of depression. Grieving cannot move forward easily when depression is present. When depression is used in this way as one's only defense against stress and pain or harm, the depression can be marked, showing a combination of self-pity and bitterness. If both depression and anxiety become a person's only way of defending against pain, harm, and loss together, an individual would become very emotionally dysregulated and experience emotionally confusing or painful states. This is Dr. Pat O'Connor, and thank you for watching this video on the key behaviors associated with using negative emotions as our only defense. In the next movie, or I should say the next series, we will be discussing the importance of individuality.